All right, ladies and gentlemen, very good afternoon from wherever you're joining us from. Good afternoon, good afternoon. It's a very beautiful Tuesday afternoon, 18th of February, and we are honored to once again have you for this very interesting discussion about the East Africa Law Society, our society, and what it is about and what benefits that accrue by being a member of this very mighty institution. My name is Gabriel Achai, and this afternoon I'm profoundly honored on behalf of the Secretariat to have you join us once again. So we'll be streaming this session live on Facebook and YouTube, and let's get sharing the link. Let's get sharing the session on our different platforms while we kickstart. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we are profoundly honored for the first time in the history of the regional bar to host presidents from across the countries. We have the president from South Sudan, we have the president from Ethiopia, we have president from Rwanda, we have president, uh, 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 former president of Tanganyika Law Society, and our Secretary General, Mr. John Seka. We do have former president East Africa Law Society, Mr. Willie Robert, joining this session. So indeed, this afternoon is a very special gathering because we bring these very bright legal minds in this room to discuss East Africa Law Society and what benefits it has for you, the members. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome with me Mr. John Secker, our Secretary General, to come and take on the session. He will be moderating the session till 4 p.m. Karibu sana senior, and we are ready to hear from you.
Uh, Thank you very much, Gabriel, and members of the panel and participants. I welcome you to this amazing session. It's a session, I believe, which will be very helpful to all of us. Many of us have in the past been questioning on the utility and essence of having the East Africa Law Society, and rightly so, because some of you do not know the history and maybe the benefit that we derive from becoming members of the East Africa Law Society, especially in those countries and jurisdictions where membership is compulsory. So there have been questions about this for a while now. People are questioning and asking how this is what it is. So to answer these questions and deepen our understanding, we have an amazing panel before us that I believe will share and enlighten not only me but also you on what it means to be a member of East Africa Law Society. So welcome, and I believe we have 52 in numbers right now, and others will be joining. So each one of you should make sure that you share the link of this meeting, and both on Zoom and YouTube, so that we can invite as many members as possible and allow them to listen, take note, ask questions, so that at the end of the day, we all know what it means to be an East African Law Society member. In the panel, we have a variety of panelists with history, and I will be introducing each and every one of them when their time comes. But for members who are here, I will encourage all of you, if you have questions, please use the live chat to communicate with us and ask questions or give a word of encouragement or even clap when it is the right time to do so. So, having said that, and not wishing to be the main speaker, I will welcome Mr. John Mary Mugisha, Senior Counsel from Uganda, one of the founding members of East Africa Law Society, and he has been there since the beginning. So, for him, we will be interested in knowing how the journey began. What was it that made them decide to form East Africa Law Society? What were the aims back then, and whether the aims still remain the same, or if based on wisdom, maybe things that we need to change so as to make it relevant to the present generation of lawyers, including the younger ones, the generation Z and the rest. So, Mr. John Mary Mugisha, karibu sana, all the way from Kampala. Please tell us your name, where are you practicing, and a short bio of yourself, and then please dive into the history of what East Africa Law Society is all about. The floor is yours. You have 15 minutes. I will be strict on time, but if you need more time, please let me know. Karib sana.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I hope you receive me loud and clear.
We do receive you.
Okay, I'm John Mere Mujisha, Senior Counsel. I am a practicing advocate with Messrs. Mugisha and Company Advocates. I've been a practicing advocate for coming to 40 years now, and I have been a host of other positions I've held. I was a founder member of the East Africa Law Society. I'm a member of the International Bar Association, a member of the East Africa Law Society, and I'm now a senior citizen. I am very happy to be called upon to make a presentation on the background, how we conceived the idea to form the East Africa Law Society. My presentation will be based on the historical background, the vision and mission of the founder members, the processes, the achievements, challenges encountered along the way, and the journey ahead. I'll try to be as brief as can be to fit within the 15 minutes. Sometime in 1995, the United States government, under the aegis of the United States Information Agency, USIA, invited bar leaders from Africa to visit the United States and see how bar associations were run so as to adopt the best practices therefrom. The Ugandan team was led by the author, that's myself, John Mere Mujisha Senior Counsel, who at the time was the vice president of the Uganda Law Society. Other members were John Matovu, Senior Counsel, who at the material time was the secretary of the Uganda Law Society, and Ms. Harriet Musinge, who was our CEO then. The Kenyan team was led by Mr. Paul Wamai, Senior Counsel, the then chairman of the LOSK. Other members were Lady Justice Dr. Lucy Muthoni Kambuni, who is now a member of the ICC at The Hague. The current Chief Justice of Kenya, Lady Justice Martha Koome, and the late Peter Mwangi, who then was the CEO. The Tanzanian team was led by the then president of the Tanganyika Law Society, the late Evarist Hobart Mbuya. Other members were Ambassador Mwanaidi Sinari Maja, I think Ambassador of the United States, Mrs. Elizabeth Minde, and Mohammed Ismail. We were hosted by various bars mainly the National Bar of the United States, and we visited various bars within the state. On our flight from Washington, D.C. to Miami, Paul Wamae, the late Everest Mbuya, and myself, who happened to be sharing a seat, utilized the opportunity to found the East Africa Law Society. We conceived the idea. We held our first meeting in Washington, D.C., the second meeting in Chicago, and the last meeting in New York, where we concluded a memorandum of understanding, and we conceived the idea that we form the East Africa Bar, East Africa Law Society, whose main objectives were to bring together lawyers as individuals and their respective bars, to build a formidable integrated bar which would boost legal.
Mr. Mugisha, you are dropping. I don't know whether. Gabriel, we have lost Mr. Mugisha.
The legal practice to serve the citizenry of East Africa. The leadership of the nascent society would be rotational, and none of us would be its initial president. Its secretariat would be located in Arusha, what we conceive to be the capital of East Africa. We reasoned that given the then prevailing legal regime in Tanzania, it would be easier to register our association as a company limited by guarantee, whose nucleus shareholding would be Tanzanian bar leaders, and would subsequently register the society in other countries as a foreign company. Our hosts were elated by the birth of this society. What were the processes? In 1995, we duly registered the company in Tanzania, and it was subsequently registered in Kenya and Uganda as a foreign company. In 1996, with the assistance from the then president of the Uganda Law Society, Solomon Balungi Bossa, who is now a justice at the ICC, we received some funding from Ford Foundation, which at that time was headed by the retired Chief Justice, Dr. William Mutunga. We convened the very inaugural meeting at the Sheraton in Kampala, and the general meeting approved our draft constitution. And the inaugural council was headed by Lady Justice Solomon Bossa. Our mission then was to help build a just, united, and integrated East Africa with human dignity, cultural diversity, where every person, irrespective of tribal or ethnic group, felt secure and had equal opportunity to realize his or her potential. Our vision then was to foster economic, social, political development of the people of East Africa, disseminate information on human rights, rule of law, good governance, and democracy in East Africa. To support the efforts that foster cooperation of East Africa countries and their people, and lastly, contribute the building of democracy and good governance. What was our membership? We also fixed the membership and subscription fees be paid by individual lawyers and their respective bars. The regional bar leaders undertook to utilize their respective secretariats to collect and transmit our subscriptions. Those who attended notably We had a prominent lawyer, Mr. Paul Mwite. We had the retired Chief Justice, Dr. William Mutunga. We had the retired Chief Justice, David Maraga, among others. From Uganda, we had Lady Justice Bosa, Professor Sempebwa, and retired Justice Kastule, among others. Tanzania, we had Coleman Makngalo, late Chief Wilfred Mirambo, late Moses Maira, and Method Bimomogoro. From Zanzibar, we had the late Professor Harub Athman, Nosto Muhammad, the past president of the East Africa Law Society. What are our achievements? Since the inception of the East Africa Law Society, we have made several strides. We have carried out several activities, including hosting seminars, workshops, conferences throughout East Africa. Initially, they included the original East Africa, but later on extended to Rwanda, Burundi, and Southern Sudan. Some notable ones were held in Mombasa on alternative dispute resolution, constitutionalism, mapping strategies for conflict resolution, and so on and so forth. Along
we appear, I don't know, Mr. Mugisha.
Yes, please.
You just dropped, but please continue.
Oh, can you get me now?
Yes, we now get you.
Okay. I was simply saying that we came across the different legal systems and we were trying to harmonize and approximate the different systems for the betterment of regulating the legal regime in the region. Our membership has long since grown by leaps and bounds. We are talking to over 30,000 individual lawyers as well as the national bars. We had to send special delegations to Burundi and Rwanda in order to have a membership drive. And what is interesting is that the legal fraternity within Rwanda and Burundi became more enthusiastic than the original members. And at some occasions, Rwanda had to host workshops and conferences which were initially intended for Burundi. We have formed an indomitable secretariat. We have a permanent home located at Plot 6 corridor area of Jandu, Arusha, Tanzania. And we have made several linkages. Our society has earned credibility within the East Africa partner states, within the legal fraternity, government, civil society, and citizens. The EALS has a panoramic knowledge and contacts on all legal human rights, rule of law, regional integration issues in the region. The EALS has acquired observer status and unparalleled competence on EAC law, including litigation in the courts as well as legislative assembly. We are a key player in the rule of law, human rights, and regional integration. We have strong continental linkages with regional bars. We have partnership with the Canadian Bar Association, Law Society of England and Wales. And we have active membership and networking with Pan-African Lawyers Union, Commonwealth Lawyers Association, and the International Bar Association. And we have actively participated in the regulation drafting and eventual signing of the treaty for the establishment of the East African Community. And we have continued to interact with partner governments, and we have acted as a catalyst with regard to developments at the African continental level, as well as the regional human rights courts. We have encouraged the training of law firms. We have promoted chapters of young lawyers and women lawyers, and we have come out to condemn excesses in the partner states. We have been commissioned as observers at elections, and we have indeed provided conducive environment for individual lawyers who litigate at the East African Court of Justice. We have published law reports, and we have long since undergone metamorphosis. And our vision, mission, and core values have now been enhanced. What is our current vision? As an integrated and sustainable regional bar that promotes, advocates professionalism, democracy, and human development. Our mission is to facilitate, enhance, and harmonize development of legal profession, promote good governance, the rule of law, and human rights, capacity building, and our current core values are professionalism, accountability, transparency, integrity, gender equality, and being proactive. Finally, what are our challenges? The EALS has weathered several storms regarding secretariat. We have had difficulty in harmonizing the operations of the secretariat. And actually, between 2001 and 2002, the secretariat had to close because of misunderstandings between our secretariat and some of our regional bars. Payment of our subscription has been a big problem. Mutual suspicion between local bars and the EALS, and the struggle for supremacy or space has been another challenge. Membership of the Executive Council has been big and costly because of the rotational nature of the meetings. Some individual lawyers are indeed still skeptical about the membership benefits. Cross-border legal practice has become a steel bath because of mutual suspicion and prejudices. Apart from Kenya and Rwanda, other countries are procrastinating as far as passing laws for regulating cross-border practice as envisaged under the East African Law Society. So what is our journey forward, way forward? As a founder member, by and large, I'm very happy with the developments. When we conceived this idea, we never imagined that it would be merged into a formidable society as it is now. What are our recommendations? I recommend that membership should build on the achievements which we have managed to achieve so far. There is a need to strengthen the secretariat by retaining a well-motivated staff. The EALS membership should be urged to pay the requisite membership subscription fees to sustain the society's activities. Collection and transmission of fees should be streamlined. There is a need to rationalize the membership of the Executive Council so as to reduce the cost. There is a need to sensitize all the membership of the EALS about the benefits of belonging to the society. There is a need to lobby partner states to pass laws to anchor cross-border legal practice and conduct legal literacy for the membership and the citizenry to embrace the same. I thank you for listening to me. Asanteni sana. Mungu awabariki.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. Mr. Founding Member John Mary Mugisha, Senior Counsel. I realized that your time was up, but then you were uh, addressing very pertinent issues. So, out of respect and uh, your memory and the skill of linking the past with the present, I realized that I could not stop you. But you managed it very well, and you are still within the allowable time limit that the moderator is permitted to have. So thank you very much for a wonderful presentation. I cannot uh, attempt to summarize what you have said, but I only noticed something very pertinent, that this idea of East Africa Law Society was conceived on air. So our role is to make sure that it soars higher than the airplane where it was first mooted. Yeah. So we at least it was mooted in the sky, so the sky should be the limit, or for that matter, not the limit. Maybe you should soar more higher than that. But thank you very much for the wonderful expose of what East Africa is all about, what the original founder members wanted to achieve, and what it has achieved so far. Now, linking the past with the present, I'll welcome Mr. President, Mr. Ramadan Abubakar Mukira, to take it from where Mr. John Mary Mugisha ended, and tell us the current benefits of ELS membership, how and under what ways can we access resources, how do we find modalities for networking, what do we do to make us get recognition, and what are the opportunities for professional development that the ELS is offering. So this will be your time, Mr. President, to address us in a manner that you deem refreshing, so that we may follow your discussion and unveiling of what East Africa Law Society is doing. I understand that our president is using a PowerPoint presentation, so he's sharing the screen. But before that, I'm sure he will start by greeting us and telling us the wonderful news. He's now in Kigali for an important conference, so he will also hint us on what is also happening there and what is the role of East Africa Law Society in the meeting that he is currently attending. Mr. President, karibu sana.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. S.G. John Seka. Also wish to thank our senior counsel, Mr. Mugisha, who took us through the airplane where the birth and innovative idea of East Africa Law Society was the idea was germinated and the seed was planted. And you can see from the screen, I'm sure you can see the 30 years that is there. This year we'll be celebrating 30 years of a seed that was planted by our founding members 30 years ago. Senior Mugisha and the team, we as ELS and the generation that continue to flag this, to fly this flag high. We continue to thank you for your dedication and coming up with this idea of bringing the region and the practitioners of law together. And as I will say in my presentation, we've indeed grown in leaps and bounds from the time in 2013 when you had incorporated Rwanda and Burundi. Just the other day, we incorporated DRC and Ethiopia. And today, of course, we are joined by the president of the Ethiopian Bar, Mr. Teodros Getachew. Also wish to recognize the presence of former presidents. On the platform, I can see Senior John Agre Mwamu, former president of East Africa Law Society. Indeed, I am in Kigali, and in fact, I'm not here alone. I'm with the batonnier of Rwanda Bar. He is playing host of me. We are attending the East Africa Court of Justice third annual conference. And it is indeed important, we as the practitioners and stakeholders of the East Africa Court of Justice, to engage with the court, to make our recommendations, our ideas in terms of nurturing and the extension specifically on matters human rights with the EACJ. I'll dive in straight to my presentation. As it was stated earlier by our founding member, the society, as it was birthed 30 years ago, had its mandate, and mandate is well stipulated in our memorandums or our constitution. As of this moment, we have 9 members of bar associations, as you can see on the screen: the Law Society of Kenya, the Tanganyika Law Society, Uganda Law Society, the Zanzibar Law Society, the Rwanda Bar Association, Burundi Bar Association, South Sudan Bar Association, and the Ethiopia Federal Advocates Association, the youngest member of the East Africa Law Society. We are in the process of including the DRC National Bar in the EALS membership, but as of this moment, we have the Haut Katanga Bar who enjoy the observer status, pending the full integration of the DRC National Bar. Because perhaps to explain, the DRC National Bar is fragmented as of this moment. We have provincial bars for specific provinces. So once we have a clear national bar, we shall incorporate them into EALS, but conversations are ongoing. So as of this moment, we boast of a membership of over 43,000 members across the region, and we do hope to continue growing in numbers. Our mission is to promote the legal profession, good governance, rule of law, and human rights in East African region through capacity building, advocacy, and partnerships. Our vision is to be a valued regional bar association that promotes the profession, rule of law, democracy, and human development. The objectives of the society, as contained in our constitution, of course, are in line with our mission and our vision. That is to promote rule of law, human rights, and good governance in East Africa, promoting professional development and competency in the legal profession, developing institutional capacity of national bar associations and the regional bar. EALS continues to partner with the specific bar associations that were mentioned. We also have a role to play as we enjoy the observer status of EAC and the African Commission to promote regional integration of the East African community. We also have an objective to advance public interest advocacy. We also did develop the strategic plan from 2023 to 2027 with specific objectives and mandate as per our constitution. And one of them was to prioritize membership services by developing innovative member-responsive products. This is all in line to make sure that the members enjoy the services that are provided by EALS. We've also strived, and we continue to strive, to strengthen public interest advocacy and strategic litigation. We continue to file cases before the East Africa Court of Justice and the African Court of Human and People's Rights. We also leveraging strategic partnerships to support programs aimed at promoting rule of law, good governance, and human rights. And we do this with some of the partners that I'll mention in this presentation. We are also in the pipeline of establishing the ELS complex after we were granted land by Her Excellency Madam Samia Suluhu in 2022, about 10 acres in Arusha. So the plan is to have an ELS complex constructed for the benefit of the membership. We also do have an ELS institute that is the vehicle for retooling the legal profession through deliberate, targeted capacity building. We also do catalyzing EAS integration through professional exchange among lawyers and guiding stakeholders in the EAS integration process. We also do focus, have a specific focus on the young lawyers to make sure that there is mentorship and guidance in matters young lawyers under the profession. Also ensuring gender mainstreaming in ELS activities, also leveraging technology for quality and cost-effective delivery of services to members. We've also in the plans of developing alternative revenue streams to ensure stability and self-sustenance of the East Africa Law Society. And one of these is by construction of the ELS complex. Our core values are excellence, professionalism, integrity, innovation, and member centricity. ELS continues to conduct several trainings. And last year, I can report that we managed to conduct over 10 webinars per week. And some were physical, at least 4 across the region. And of course, highlighted by the annual general meeting that happened in November. Also the continuous professional development, where we partner with national bars, and some of the webinars or trainings that we do conduct with the national bars will most of the time do have CPD points. We also continue to have ELS lecture series and mentorship program, regional practice series, and numerous virtual trainings have been undertaken. We also do have the East Africa Law Journal and the Rule of Law Journal that we publish every year and issued at the annual general meeting. So plans are also underway to have the 2025 Human Rights and Rule of Law Journal. So in case you have any topic that you wish the membership to have a read on, please feel free to reach the Secretariat on this. We also do continue to have internship programs with the African Court and of course at ELS. And we do announce to the membership once these positions are available. We also do play a pivotal role in legal research and regional policy unit, a regional law reform program, including initiatives at actualizing cross-border legal practice. We also do have international moot court competitions. In fact, as of this moment, we do have conversation that is ongoing on moot courts, specifically targeting students and just informing them about the East Africa Law Society. In terms of the standing conferences that we have a Young Lawyers Conference that happens every year. We do also have a Young Lawyers essay competition, and where the winner sometimes will have sponsorship to attend some of the conferences, including the annual general meeting. We also do have a Women Lawyers Conference, specifically to support the women lawyers, and where they do have their specific day during the annual general meeting. We also do have the in-house council conference, which happens around, I believe, the second quarter of the year. Last year we were in Watamu. This year, I'm not sure where it's going to be, but the committee will come up with the venue and the theme of the conference. We also do have the ELS Leading Law Firms Forum and the ELS Managing Partners Forum for those who are managing partners, just to meet, gather, and discuss and share ideas in terms of management of law firms. We also do have providing digital content in terms of webcast and YouTube channel. And lastly, the annual conference, which is known to us all. We also do have several committees, and we made the announcement the other day. We have the Young Lawyers Committee, as you can see this in the screen. So it's upon the membership, you find an area that interests you, and please do apply to be a member in these committees. And also, if you wish to be a chair, you also make an application, and the secretariat will consider the application. That is another list of ELS committees that are existent and which run for every 2 years of the term of the governing council. In terms of promoting regional integration, ELS continues to enjoy an observer status at both the East African Community and the African Commission. Member of the consultative dialogue framework that advises on the regional integration process. Indeed, there are challenges, as it was discussed in the conference that we attended today, but the vision still remains alive. We also do support in terms of law and policy to EALA and EAC Secretariat. In fact, you will realize that ELS is older than the EAC. It was ELS that drafted the treaty that continues to guide the EAC, courtesy of the founding members and other lawyers across the region. We continue to fast-track integration through targeted support of cross-border commerce, the legal profession, civil societies, business communities, and governments. In terms of small-scale cross-border trade facilitation project, ELS has a support system that was running, and the same was supported by OSF, Open Society Foundation, where ELS had satellite offices across the borders just to advise the traders who are crossing across the border in terms of matters trade and to negotiate on the non-tariff barriers that existed. So ELS played a pivotal role in terms of free movement of goods and services, and we continue to do this. The third Regional Africa program, in terms of supporting implementation of human rights commitment by EAC partner states, and this program is still ongoing, and ELS continues to support. Also, in terms of the civic space that continues to shrink across the region, ELS continues to advocate for the civic space to be allowed to thrive. ELS also has a mandate of promoting rule of law, good governance and democracy, and human rights in East Africa. And we have done this through litigation. We've done this through the statements that we issue. I'm sure you've been following in terms of what has been happening in the region, specifically Uganda, when one of our members was denied a practicing certificate to practice across the border in Uganda, as Madam Senior Counsel Martha Karua. And ELS was pivotal in filing the case before the East Africa Court of Justice. The case is ongoing because, as ELS, we do believe it is the opportune moment for us to question and create jurisprudence on matters cross-border practice in line with the treaty on free movement of goods and services, specifically legal services. We also have partner programs supporting rule of law, as I've mentioned earlier, to safeguard the rule of law, civic space. So we do have several partners who work with ELS just to ensure that rule of law, good governance is facilitated across the region. In terms of institutional development, we have strategic partnerships and financial sustainability, staff capacity building capacity of national bars, and promoting ELS brand value and digital presence, and leveraging on technology. On your screens, this is how you can reach ELS in case you need to communicate with ELS We have our email address there, our Facebook, our Twitter page, LinkedIn, and of course, YouTube, where we do share all our webinars that are conducted, including this one that is available for the membership after, of course, the broadcast is done. I think with that, let me close there. But please, members, continue being active in matters ELS, because ELS is for you, and ELS cannot exist without your participation and cooperation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, for your wonderful presentation. Indeed, you have been able to link what the founding members wanted and what the ELS currently is doing. So we appreciate for that wonderful presentation. We indeed have learned a lot. And I could notice in the side chat, people are asking whether this presentation is available. And at the end of your presentation, you reminded us that actually this conference seminar is being recorded, and now it is live. But at a later time, it will be available on YouTube for members to revisit again and again, and I'm sure we will also find mechanisms to ensure those who are participating receive your presentation, Mr. President. So I thank you very much and for keeping time. That was an excellent step in the right direction. Now, I noticed that there are questions, some of them that I've answered, but all of them are saying, yeah, someone is saying, they're thanking us for this presentation. And someone is asking, is Maritime and Aviation Committee different from Aerospace Committee? Now, I don't know whether we should, Mr. President, can you respond to that, or should we let it ask around and then come back with a response? Because in your presentation, you hinted that there is a Maritime and Aviation Committee, and then there was an Aerospace Committee.
Yes, these are different. These are different committees, and
Mr. President, you don't hear. Yeah, okay, now we hear you. Yes.
Apologies for that. I'm saying yes, indeed. If the committees were separated, that would mean they are separate committees. And last year, the Aerospace Committee did in fact have a webinar on space law here in Nairobi. So they are totally separate bodies.
Yeah, thank you very much. And members are highly encouraged to join these committees and gain expertise and network. You see, the essence of having these many committees is exactly that members who are interested and then have a personal interest in one of the professional stream, you should be able to join and fly with the birds of the same feather. Currently, not every citizen of East Africa who is a member of ELS. Some of you have only shown interest to join, but we don't see many applications to join these committees. So we will encourage each one of you to contact the Secretariat by the numbers provided from the President, so that we may able to see in which committee you may show interest, or we may encourage you to join. Now, having said that, and while we await for questions, and I'll be chipping in, Mr. President, thank you very much for your presentation. Now we will move on to Rwanda, and we will have the baton for Rwanda, Mr. Mwaze Nkundabarashi. President of the RBA, to tell us the role of the EALS in supporting legal professionals, capacity building, and cross-border collaboration. But more importantly, Mr. Batonia, while you are addressing us, will be more interested also in the aspect of gender mainstreaming. I understand that RBA is doing some wonderful work to mainstream gender into the profession. So we'll be interested also as a side chat to also tell us those wonderful news and how our sister bar associations can learn from Rwanda in terms of gender mainstreaming. Thank you very much. The floor is yours. You have traditional 15 minutes, but if you keep it shorter than that, we will appreciate so that we have time for discussions at the end. Karibu sana.
Asante sana, Mr. John Seka. First of all, I want to say good afternoon to everyone. So since we started with John Mary Mugisha, that gave us a historical background, it's very important that I do also use my minutes a little bit to touch a little bit about the history of the Bar Association, but also with the engagement of the East African Law Society and what we've done since when we started engaging with the East African Law Society. So first of all, Rwanda Bar Association is now 28 years. It was first created in 1997. And by then we only had 37 lawyers. And for now we are counting 1,600 members. And I would say that by then we only, since you asked about gender, we only had 30 male advocates and 7 female advocates. Today, out of 1,600, we are counting 600 that are female and also 1,000 that are male advocates. We keep that gender perspective as I move along. So our first engagement with the East African Law Society comes in 2013. So which means we are now pretty much like 20 years and plus engaging with the East African Law Society. And since then, I would say that I was also privileged to be part of the leadership of EALS because I joined the EALS Council in 2014 when I was representing the young lawyers. And you can imagine the engagement of since then up to now. I've seen a lot at ELS. And whoever is on this webinar, I would encourage you to keep like this kind of engagement with the African Law Society because it brings a lot of, I would say, advantages, but also, I mean, it'll grow the network, the friendships, but also the business across the region. So since 2013, then we started working with the East African Law Society with the aim of expanding and also learning, because the Rwanda Bar Association is one of those bars that came from a tradition of Romano-Germanic system that was joining the ELS that traditionally had an association of bar associations and law societies that were traditionally coming from the common law jurisdictions. John Mary Mugisha did mention something very important to do with the fact that at a certain point, Rwanda like opened its door for cross-border legal practice, which is very true, because the treaty that brings together all the member state was domesticated in our legal landscape, and it allowed us to have lawyers from across the region to come and be members of our bar association, be it from Kenya, be it from Burundi, be it from Uganda. Those are the main 3 countries that we really have members now in Rwanda. But reciprocity and the approach of having the same treatment in the very countries still remains a challenge, which I do believe at certain point is going to be fixed and we be able to have this cross-border practice that is not affected by the legalities and the systems that are not really ours. Yesterday, I was having a conversation with Mr. President here, telling him, today a London lawyer can practice in Paris. Today, a lawyer from the US can practice in Europe without a problem. But the very systems that they brought to us today are affecting cross-border legal practice across the region in East Africa. What does that mean to us? We leaders are the ones to think twice and revisit the way we act. We should not be doing what we are doing to find reasons for protectionism and not allow our members to have this practice across the region. Because by expanding, we are also expanding our market. We are also expanding our opportunities. We therefore need to revisit the way we do things and see how best we can really accommodate our sister countries to come and practice in Kigali, but also have the same right to go and practice in Addis Ababa. I really want to commend the leadership of ELS at this point in time for having allowed Ethiopia Federal Bar to join ELS. This is a very strong message we want to send. And I also want to say that the very important impact we are going to have is the EAC should actually be following our path and admitting in new member countries, partner states, instead of we waiting until when the new states are admitted, and then that's how we follow the path by admitting the bar associations. I therefore would like to come back a little bit to the history of gender mainstreaming in our bar association. We take it very seriously, and this is coming from a policy level of our country because we cannot afford to build a bar association or even a country that is leaving anyone behind. Today, as we speak, we have a governing council at the bar association that is made up of 13 members. 7 of them are female advocates. And they are engaged on a daily basis in the activities of the bar association. The staff of the secretariat of the bar association are also now 14. I would say that 8 out of them are female and the rest are male staff at the secretariat. It's a deliberate policy we have put in place to make sure that we do not leave anyone behind. All these exposes the female advocate to maybe probably later we're going to have someone that might be a president of the bar, because we've never had one, but we've had so many vice presidents. Today, the president of the committee of the disciplinary committee is a female advocate, and each and every time we come to the Council of the East African Law Society, we also make sure that we have representation of a male and a female advocates. It's a practice, and this has happened for the past, I would say, 10 years. You all know the past Secretary General of the East African Law Society, Mrs. Kabasinga Florida. So we do this because we want to build a society that does not leave anyone behind. So these are the kind of practices that you do and people take it for granted, but we do believe that this has a huge impact in as far as building the capacities of these very members are concerned. So when it comes to the engagement with the East African Law Society to build capacities, I really want to thank the Secretariat of the ELS under the leadership of President Ramadan and the past president. The reason is very simple. We've had engagement, and today members see the value of having East African Law Society membership. We belong to so many professional organizations across the region and across across Africa and internationally. But most of the time, these are organizations that you only engage when they want subscriptions. Presidents here on this webinar will challenge me. Organizations like International Bar Association and so on and so on. I don't want to make any kind of to bring any kind of diplomatic issue. But the reality is you only get in touch when they want your subscription. The value for that very subscription can't be seen. But today, the engagement of EALS are on a weekly basis. And this is going to continue. For the members that are attending this very webinar, we want to give you guarantee that we will not stop this kind of engagement on various topics. This will allow lawyers to interact, and using technology tools like the ones we are using now, it's going to facilitate, it's going to make it easy. Today, as we speak, each president, apart from President Ramadan and David Siganda that are in Kigali for other engagements, each and everyone is in his country. And it does not stop people from exchanging and sharing experiences. And now it's being recorded. Whoever is not even present at this webinar can tomorrow or after tomorrow have access to the very link and then listen to the conversation we've had. So I would say that we are thankful for the leadership of EALS, and all we want is to make sure that we keep the momentum. Let's continue. Let's make sure that there is no single week that people are not interacting on various topics that are really of importance to the legal practice across the region. Mr. SG, those are my few remarks. I want to believe I responded to the questions. If there is any question that is in the chat box, we will be happy to respond to the same. Thank you.
Thank you very much, President Moise, for that wonderful presentation and an expose, and for respecting time. That was an interesting exposure to what Rwanda is doing. I loved the idea of gender mainstreaming and the deliberate affirmative actions that you're doing to promote participation of our female colleagues in the professional engagements that we are in. Indeed, we will encourage other sister bar associations to emulate the same and make it a deliberate move, so that at some point in time, maybe in the future, when we have convened a meeting of presidents, former presidents, and other bar leaders like this as presenters, we can have
Mr. Seka, we lost you. Or is it just our end?
Yes. I don't think
No, it's
Hello?
hello.
I can't hear him.
I think we lost the SG.
Okay.
But he should be.
He's
should be
online.
back. He's moving now.
Hello, SG, we cannot hear you.
I cannot hear him either.
Yeah. I think it's called dropped, yeah?
Maybe as we wait for him to come back, we could have the president of South Sudan Bar Association speak about, the membership of the South Sudan Bar, their entry into ELS, the potential benefits that they may get by being members of ELS, given the speeches that we've heard from the president of ELS, from the founding member, JMM, and from the president of the Rwanda Bar Association. President Aro, please go ahead, share your experience with ELS and what the members of the South Sudan Bar are or should expect as they fully integrate into ELS membership.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. Thank you, Mr. President. A special recognition and thanks to our founding member and our colleagues in the council. As you may know, South Sudan became an independent state 2011. And since then, it fell into a lot of challenges politically and undeveloped institutions. Our legal system was inherited from Sudan, and of course, after our independence and joining of the East African community, we are aligning ourselves with the regional standards. And we believe in South Sudan Bar Association that our partnership with EALS, it is of great help in this stage through the legal expertise from the membership of ELS. It is also noted that South Sudan can play a role to shape the ELS because we can bring in a new perspective to ELS. As you know, South Sudan Bar Association have over 4,000 members currently, and they are expanding. Those members, they can be and expand to the ELS organizational reach and influence, and giving members a broader network. ELS important of our members to be keen to join ELS is I can term it that ELS is actually an avenue for a professional growth, because through this initiative of capacity building and training and networking with our brothers and sisters in the regions, our members can benefit from ELS greatly. And as you know, South Sudan has a significant issues in human rights area, and these are one of the core values or aims of ELS: good governance and rule of law. So through initiatives that are mutual and through support, even in supporting supporting the sister bar association in South Sudan, ELS is of great importance for us at this stage and forever. So currently, we are undergoing some organizational structures. As many of you know, South Sudan Bar Association has been in struggling of leadership for quite some time. It was just recently, last year, that this dispute was brought to an end after it has reached to the Supreme Court. And now the Bar Association is embarking on putting in order the national bar in terms of membership and everything. And we believe this year and the years to come, our involvement and engagement with East Africa Law Society will be significant than before. Another angle also we have seen that South Sudan can shape ELS is through the enhancement of the ELS image, being a proactive body. As I said earlier, that South Sudan coming from conflict and entering into transitional and post conflicts, a lot of legal challenges are faced. And we believe with the expertise of our members from the regions and through the ELS, we can join hand together to address some of these challenges. Additionally, South Sudan, as you know, is a blessed country naturally with resources. It's an avenue for a potential investment, and it can open up a business and a market for services, especially legal market and legal services to the region. We believe in helping the Sister Bar Association through the training and collaboration with ELS. We will be able to create a legal environment that is conducive for our brothers in the region to join hands with us, South Sudan, and therefore open up for this investment that I have alluded earlier. So, South Sudan membership, as I said, being organized internally, we currently active at the regional institutional membership. This is we've been coping up lately because, as I said before, Bar Association was in this organization. But after our election, we believe we've been active as an institution. And the next step now for us is to invite our members and to encourage them to also be more active in the ELS and to benefit from the programs and training capacities and online seminars and workshops that are provided for their own professional growth. So by this, I believe I can conclude my engagement.
Thank you very much, President Arop Malweth from the South Sudan Bar Association for uh, indicating the roles that South Sudan Bar Association can play within the EALS. And it is indeed heartening to notice that we are all talking of opportunities that are available not only to South Sudanese, but also other members of East African Law Society. Indeed, the cake around East Africa is so big that will not, even if we were to join forces, we will not finish it. It's only that it's now being eaten by some other members, and we East Africans are blocking ourselves from enjoying the smaller pieces of the cake. So this has to change indeed, and I think this was what the founding members of East Africa Law Society wanted, and 30 years on, the dream is still at the infancy stage. The laws are there, the treaty is there to welcome cross-border practice, but then something is not happening on the ground. And while we are addressing and accommodating other members, we should now also start looking for ways to internally make this happen. And for lawyers, we should be the front runners in this. I have to apologize that I was cut short due to technical glitches, but now I am back, and I have two more members to address us. I want to start with Tewodros from Ethiopian Federal Advocates Association, and then I will end up with Advocate Senior Counsel Willie Rubea. I've made Will Rubea to come last, not because of lack of importance, although the timetable showed that he will be coming at a later before South Sudan. But I wanted this to happen so that we can hear the role of each law society and the law association before we hear opportunities for cross-border practice and what now it stands for after hearing these wonderful initiatives where every president of the law society is telling us that in one of our or in each one of our countries there are indeed opportunities for welcoming the other partners. So, Mr. Tewodros Getachew, new members of East Africa Law Society and president of Ethiopian Federal Advocates Association, Please welcome. You have to 15 minutes to tell us the significance of Ethiopia's membership in East Africa Law Society. What are the implications for the regional bar? Are you also telling us of the wonderful opportunities for us to grab in Addis and other regions of Ethiopia, or something else? Please feel welcome.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. And I want to address some of my colleagues there. So let me start with Senior Counsel, founding member of EALS, John Mugisha, President of EALS, President Ramadan, my brother, my good friend, President Moez, Rwandan Bar, President Arop Maluz, South Sudanese Bar, and Council Ruby Willie Rubia, and last but not least, our moderator, Secretary General John Seka. So it's a pleasure to address you all here on behalf of the Ethiopian Federal Bar. My part is to speak on the significance of Ethiopia's membership in the ALS and the implication for the regional bar as well. But just to begin with, I want to thank the CEO and his team for making this platform happen, and it's very important, especially for the new initial members like the Ethiopian Federal Bar, so as to address and give some kind of introduction for thousands of Ethiopian lawyers and law firms with a view to engage with the LS for the coming so many years. So to begin with, I want to remind everyone that this is a historical time, especially for the Ethiopian lawyers and law firms. This is for the reason that we have had the first ever statutory bar association after 2 to 3 decades of struggle of consecutive generations of lawyers. So many has sacrificed for this to happen, and this is because of to have an independent and statutory and as well strong bar association, which was never happened in the Ethiopian legal sphere. After the establishment of the Ethiopian Federal Bar Association, we have been working very hard to ascertain our presence in the Ethiopian legal space. First, that was the basic. That was the task that needed a lot of resource and everything from our side. And after ascertaining our presence in the Ethiopian legal space, unequivocally, we were supposed to look around what was at the regional level, at the continental level, and at the international level as well. So we're trying to penetrate all the regional, continental, international platforms, and we're trying to see all the options, and come up with some advantage for thousands of lawyers, especially for the EALS here in Ethiopia. Now, as we speak, the Ethiopian Federal Bar is a member of the BRICS Legal Forum, a governing council of the BRICS Legal Forum. It's also a member of the Pan-African Lawyers Union, which is a premier continental legal organ of the continent. And we're also leading as a vice president this continental legal body. And we are also members of the IBA, members of so many platforms that are available around the globe. However, the nearest and the most relevant of all these platforms is the East African Law Society. And deciding to become a member of the East African Law Society, although it looks relevant and very near, but was not an easy decision for me as a leader of the bar as well. And thanks to the then vice president, but now our president, President Abu Bakr, and all the council members who have supported us to make this come true. And we have had that very warm reception in Kampala in last November, and it was a historical time, not only for the Ethiopian Federal Bar, but also for the East African Law Society. Just having said this, let me go through to the significance of the Ethiopian Federal Bar joining the East African Law Society. Well, as to my understanding, definitely EALS is going to be huge than it was, strong than it was before, following the joining of the Ethiopian Federal Bar. We're talking about a bar which represents more than 27,000 lawyers and law firms all over Ethiopia, and the 7,000 lawyers and law firms at the federal level. And all these lawyers, we have some special feature, which happened due to the legal system that we're in. The members of my bar are former ministers, former court presidents, former judges, former prosecutors, former court presidents, professors, and all those experienced and the most qualified lawyers are found in the bar. That's how we practice here. So this is a kind of from bench to bar, not from bench to the bar to the bar. I mean, from the bar to bench. That's it happens in a couple of circumstances, but that is the principle. They came from the bench to the bar. So this collection of highly qualified lawyers will definitely contribute to a strong EALS and the East African community. So speaking about East African community, leaving Ethiopia behind is something, you can feel it, something is missing. So definitely anyone can ask, where is Ethiopia? We're talking about a country which its economy is among the top 5 in the African continent. We're talking about the fastest growing economy all over the world, at least for the last nearly 2 decades. So this has got a lot of opportunities and package that comes with the membership. From the side of our EALS, beyond increasing the initial membership and its individual membership, it has got a lot of package to offer. That our journey as a guardians of justice, one, our journey as a defender of rule of law, our journey as champions of human rights across the East African region will be strengthened. We should do things together. We should work hand in hand to overcome all those complex and multifaceted problems that are recurring in the entire region. I believe that the challenges we're facing in the region are complex and multifaceted, and our combined effort is not a choice. It's a must. We shall work together for innovative solutions for more just and equitable future for all the East African legal community. And we have to also contribute the entire people of the East African region. So to do that, organization is a must. We have to be organized. There should be an institution working towards the same end. So we can concert our efforts, our potentials, which is found in our respective countries, and we come together. And we should make the change inevitable. So it goes without saying that our concerted effort is it's not a choice that we put it for as an option, but it's a must that we should work on every time. On the other hand, as a leader of the Ethiopian Bar Association, we're looking forward to work on various issues when it comes to membership in the EALS. Just to mention some, one is advancing access to justice, promoting continuous legal education, CLE. This is a very important intervention and area of collaboration that we are looking for, and we've already started it, and we should, but all the lawyers, thousands of lawyers in each of our jurisdictions shall benefit from this quality continuous legal education programs. And I see a lot of Ethiopian participants, Ethiopian lawyers in the list, in the attendees, and I encourage all of them to participate in those continuous legal education programs, modules, and everything, so that they can benefit out of the programs. Thirdly, promoting the cross-border legal practices, a major issue that we need to work on in collaboration. And so many of the challenges have been mentioned by President Moes, President Ramadan, President Arop, and so I'm not gonna rephrase and repeat those challenges, but it should come an end. So we should as leaders of lawyers of the region, we have to come up with innovative solutions. We have to force the political bodies, the executives, just to open up. We cannot just simply sign treaties and then go back and sit and live as it was before. So if we sign, there should be application. It should be applied, and those who didn't accede as well, it needs a collaborative effort from the entire members of the East African Society to make them join. So all the soft powers that we have in our hand should come together and make an impact on the livelihood of our people and our lawyers as well. So as it was mentioned before, it should not be a mountain for us, to facilitate cross-border legal practice in each and every one of our jurisdictions. So I think this collection of leadership should pave the way for the future lawyers, for the current lawyers. So this is the third major area that we're looking for to engage with the East African Law Society. So with this, including international trade and business, international investment, business setup, so we should allow our lawyers and law firms to practice in Kenya, to practice in Addis Ababa, in Arusha, in wherever, in South Sudan, everywhere. So this is, I think, the basic. It should be the prior focus when it comes to regional societies like the East African Law Society. Fostering international arbitration is also one of the issues that we should work on. So among other things, maybe this may be some of the issues that we and I as a leader looking for to work with the East African Law Society. And on the other hand, there are huge investment potentials in Ethiopia. As I've already mentioned before, Ethiopia is one of the top 5 economies in the region in terms of GDP, in the continent, I mean, that's a huge potential. Ethiopia is also a country of 129 million people. So this is a huge potential, a huge market. You know, we cannot fill with thousands of Ethiopian lawyers this big market. It's definitely is going to boom in the next decades. I was looking for IMF and World Bank projections a couple of weeks before, and they are forecasting that the Ethiopian economy is going to be the 17th biggest economy in the world in 2075. That is, well, with all the up and downs, with all the issues that all of us we are having, but still the economy is growing. I was also referring again the numbers from the IMF and World Bank. It says 8.2 annual growth rate of the economy of Ethiopia, probably one of the highest in the sub-Saharan Africa, not only in the sub-Saharan Africa, actually, probably around the world. So the reason that I'm mentioning this is there is a potential to work on. There is a potential to dig. So whenever we think of cross-border legal practice, whenever we think of training our lawyers continuously, capacitating our lawyers, and when you talk about capacity building of the lawyers and law firms, we're thinking we have to think big, and well, 2 days a springboard, and we should start from here, and as it has been said, the sky is the limit. So the other issue probably worth mentioning here is Ethiopia is opening up now. As you can see, the protectionism is one of the issues that we have been criticized for long. But now the banking sector is opening. So many liberalization initiatives are there. Many of the sectors, including the telecom sector, is already opened. I guess I trust that many of you already know that Safaricom is already operating competing with Ethio Telecom. So a lot is opening now. This comes with a lot of opportunities. So I urge the entire society of the East African legal community, to look consciously this new opportunities that is coming from Ethiopia, being a member of the EALS, the ICT sector as well, the mining sector, manufacturing sector. So the energy sector, there is a lot to offer here. So I think we need leaders. We have to look out of the box, and if we do that, there is no reason that we can make through what is envisaged already in our constituting documents, and what should happen next. So I would like to take this opportunity to express my sincere gratitude to the East African Law Society, well, including myself, for the unwavering commitment to fostering collaboration and professional excellence. And this dedication has created a platform where you can share knowledge, exchange experiences, and building a lasting partnership for all of us. And I think I should stop here, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much, President Owodros, for telling us good things about Ethiopia and the opportunities that are there for lawyers. Indeed, being one of the largest economy, one of the countries with the largest population, which is eager to secure legal services, that's a place where lawyers should come in droves. And indeed, with the coming into force of the cross-border legal practice, this is something which very soon will become material, but given the fact that if we have 120 million population as part of the East African community, that will be wonderful, because we will increase our membership base and population dynamics, and that is something that we welcome. And I think we have started by setting the pace by welcoming the Ethiopian Federal Advocates Association into the EALS as a challenge to the EAC to do to do so in the coming phase. Now, there was a question at the side chat which I'll be asking you at some point in time, but I want you to prepare. And this is the question of language barrier in the court in the court systems. Stella Osei was asking, was raising it in the context of Rwanda, that what will happen if we are talking of cross-border and then Rwanda is using Kinyarwanda in its court system. And then it hit on me that probably Ethiopia is also using Amharic in its its judicial system, and then Burundi is using French and Kirundi, and then DRC is using French. So the question I think here is, what is in it for our English-speaking countries or population or lawyers? But then I started to say, okay, I'll also ask Stella, what's stopping you from learning Amharic if the opportunity is to reach 120 million people, or even French and other languages. So these are things that we need to ponder as we move along. Maybe during question and answer session, we will attempt, as part of your concluding remarks, to address both President Moise and President Teodros that question of language barrier and cross-border legal practice. Now, it's my time and pleasure to welcome Mr. Willie Rubea, Senior Counsel and Chairperson of Rubea and Company Advocates, who is going to drive us through opportunities for ELS members in cross-border practice, leadership, mentorship, and contributing to legal reforms. Mr. Rubea is a seasoned lawyer and he knows his stuff. And I'm sure we are going to learn a lot from his short presentation. After that, I think we will have a quick session of questions if there are any. If not, then we will wrap up by going rounds and sharing final comments, if any. Mr. Rubea, please, if you're online, karibu sana.
Asante sana. Thank you so much, John Seka. Good afternoon, founding member, Senior Counsel Mugisha. Good afternoon, President of ELS Ramadan. Good afternoon, all members of our council. And good afternoon as well to all listeners and followers of this webinar. So as said, I will be talking about opportunities for ELS member, about cross-border practice, leadership, mentorship, and contributing to legal reforms. Let me start with the introduction. The regional African Law Societies bring together legal professions, scholars, and practitioners across different regions of Africa to share knowledge, collaborate, and advocate for advancement of law and justice in their respective areas. Among others, East African Law Society serves as a prominent regional law societies in Africa. ELS membership enable layers to act in concert and leverage their collective power to achieve shared regional goals. There are several avenues for professional growth and impact in the field of law, especially focusing on cross-border practice, leadership, mentorship, and contributing to legal reforms. Cross-border, let's start with the cross-border practice. And we have in this section, regional collaboration and referrals across different jurisdictions. We have also international trade in investments. We have also dispute resolution and provide resources and guidance on navigating cross-border legal and regulatory issues. Let's say that I will have to share my PowerPoint preparation. As the time is running, I will try to be brief on my presentation. Leadership opportunities, EALS leadership roles. EALS offers members the chance to take leadership roles within the organization. For advocacy for legal reforms, members can step into leadership position where they can advocate for legal reforms that align with the regional integration, justice system, improvements, and human rights. Through lobbying and policy influence, they can participate in law reforms at both national and regional levels. With the regional network, EALS offers various networking events where members can form relationship with leaders across the East African region, enhancing their visibility and positioning as influential players in the legal landscape. For mentorship opportunities, let's start with the young lawyers. Experienced members can play a pivotal role in shaping the next generation of legal professionals by mentoring young lawyers. That can be done through formal mentorship programs or informal guidance. Mentorship opportunities help strengthen the profession and build a robust legal ecosystem in East Africa. For education program and workshop, EALS members can contribute to knowledge sharing initiatives by organizing workshops, training, seminars to build the capacity of emerging lawyers, especially in emerging areas of law such as technology law, environmental law, and corporate governance. I think that can be seen with the webinars organized by EALS on a regular basis. For legal educational collaborations, by partnering with the universities and other educational institutions in the region, members can contribute to shaping the curriculum and provide hands-on experience to students entering the legal profession. Our contribution to legal reforms. I've said by our president, EALS members have the opportunity to contribute to the drafting of new laws and legal frameworks that address contemporary issues such as environmental protection, digital economy and regulation, and access to justice. That this can involve working closely with national and regional lawmaking bodies like the East African Community, national parliaments, and Law Reform Commission. For law reform advocacy, members can participate in public consultation, contribute to position papers, and engage with policymakers to advocate for progressive legal reforms that benefit society, foster trade, and ensure justice in East Africa. Public interest in initiatives. Through public interest in litigation and social justice campaigns, EALS members can play a role in advancing legal reform that promote human rights, equality, and access to justice across the region. In conclusion, EALS members have numerous opportunities to engage in cross-border legal practice, take leadership roles, provide mentorship, and contribute to legal reforms that shape the East African region. These opportunities not only enhance the professional growth, but also allow them to make significant contribution to advancement of legal standards and regional integration. Asante sana for listening. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Willie Rubea, Senior Counsel, for that expose on opportunities that are available to lawyers across East Africa, and I believe you talked of important things that we should not leave behind our young lawyers. Our young lawyers. Yeah. Thank you very much for your wonderful presentations. Now, I did not see a question, but I saw a hand being raised. A hand was raised by
Seems like
Bob, yes. Yes, there was someone was calling me. Yes, Mr. President.
I'm saying also your hand is raised.
Thank you very. I will withdraw mine. But Bob Madut Ayi had raised a hand.
Paul Madut Ayi.
Yes.
Yes, he's a member of South Sudan Bar Association.
Yes, he has raised a hand. We just want to check whether he wants to say something. Ball. Oh, probably I will check. I'll check him on the side chat. Now, as we're about to conclude, because I'm supposed to end this at exactly at 16 hours, maybe to do that, let me go and read quickly a chat here. Okay, this is something to do with congratulating us for addressing issues related to including young lawyers. I think it has been addressed by majority of the presenters. Now I will welcome. Let's start with Arop because you're here.
Yes.
If you can have parting shots, because we don't see hands or questions specific to any of the panelists. So in terms of parting shots, there's a question of language barrier in terms of cross-border legal practice. What is your take, and then anything else that you want to address?
Of course, in my take in the issue of the language, in our courts here, actually, our official language is English, but of course, majority of our legal practitioners, giving the background of us coming from Sudan, they're using the Arabic language, but English is the official language. So in South Sudan, I think it is not a problem. And in the issue of the cross-border practice, in our laws, which is Advocate Act 2003, give the chance for foreign advocates to practice within the Republic of South Sudan after given a special license by the Bar Council. Good enough, Bar Council, which is responsible for giving licenses, is headed by the president of Bar Association, which is myself, and membership from Judiciary and the Ministry of Justice, and some senior lawyers. So I think in case of South Sudan, there is no an issue there in that question of barriers of language. I only want to put a remarks that as members of EALS, we have seen lately when South Sudan Bar Association was about to sue a department, we got good support from EALS, and all our members are grateful for that. And as you are there, Mr. President, it's been our call all along that a sub-registry of East African Court of Justice has to be open here in South Sudan. Please, I was supposed to attend it, but because of a prior equally important engagement, I could not make it. But good enough, my president is there, so that is also my message. Please try to advocate for a sub-registry of East African Court of Justice to be open here in South Sudan. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. And I think indeed that is the role of East Africa Law Society to be your spokesperson when you are not able to voice your opinion for one reason or another. So I'm sure Mr. President will speak South Sudan, the case for South Sudan through EALS. So
Yes.
in Kiswahili we say ujumbe umefika.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'll move to Moise. If you have anything to say, Mr. President, but Batonia Moise.
Right. So I would like first to thank everyone for their presentation. But let me say this: there's no such a thing in life that you're going to face without challenges. The reason is very simple. Apart from the challenge that Mr. SG raised about the language barrier, well, I also did speak about the systems where we inherited from our colonials. But even languages, the English and French are not our languages. English that we are speaking now at this webinar is my fifth language. What is it that is a rocket science that these lawyers cannot learn and adjust and move ahead? These ELS have been here for 30 years. Have we at least put in place frameworks at ELS that allows people to go and make necessary adjustment in various jurisdictions so that they can learn, and then the young ones so that they can make necessary adjustment? We should not have this as an excuse. Legal practice is about unlocking the problems and challenges. If we are solving other people's problems, there's nothing difficult into this. But only if we consider it as a barrier or as a challenge, yes, it can be. In Rwanda, it's true that practice in courts, the language of the courts is Kinyarwanda. But our constitution provides that official languages are Kinyarwanda, French, English, and they are soon even including Swahili. We are now not supposed to be having English or any kind of language as a barrier now. We are supposed to be learning Chinese. That's where the world is going. So to me, as leaders of the bar associations and lawyers that are attending this webinar, put in your mind that there's nothing that you can't learn. That's what the message I want to give to everyone that is attending this webinar. Challenges will always be there. They will always be there. But the way we manage them and the way we overcome so that this cannot be a barrier, that's what makes the difference. I thank you.
Thank you very much, President Mwase. I think I was trying to ask myself how would this be a barrier if I were to partner with my Rwandan colleague and go with him to court, and he speaks and we share the tidbits or translator, because I think some of our courts also permit translators if need be. So it's not really a challenge that we should see it as a hindering block, but more of a challenge that we must overcome. Now, before I move to my president, unless Mr. President, you want to chip in now so that you can go back to your conference, or you stay until the end? Thank you. Then I will, in terms of parting shots, I will ask Mr. Tewodros President of the Ethiopian Federal Advocates Association, to say his parting shots, and then I'll move on. Mr. Tewodros, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Thank you, SG. It has already been said, but well, just to reflect on the issue of language, as it has been said, that we can overcome. That's why when I was, trying to say my part, that in the beginning, I was mentioning about things about innovative solutions for the challenges that we have had on the table. Definitely one of them is language. In Ethiopia, Amharic is a federal official language, and you know that Ethiopia has never been colonized, and due to that, we have had more than 83 nations and nationalities groups, and they have their own language. So not only in the region, but within the country, it may be language may be a barrier to some extent. So but there should be always a way to overcome the challenges. So in our law, according to proclamation number 1249/21, we allow foreign firms and lawyers on two conditions. One, it should be related with the country where the law firm is coming, and also the other requirement is they should partner with an Ethiopian lawyer and law firm. So currently, this is the overview of the legal landscape when it comes to practicing the Ethiopian legal landscape, but there is still a way. Collaborating with an Ethiopian law firm and lawyer is something doable, as has been already mentioned by John Seka. There is no reason that we cannot collaborate and and handle the case and give that specific legal service. So as it has been mentioned, and we give a special license. So the license is based on those two basic standards to meet. So this is the issue here, but it has been told by many of my colleagues there, and it is something that we can overcome. So English is in our system maybe the third, the fourth language, but there's still a way. There's still a field. There's still a space to play for all the legal community in the East African region. But we have to. I'm not saying that this is enough. We have to always put a pressure on the policymakers to make changes to the current playing field, so that we have a better future in terms of achieving cross-border legal practice to the fullest. So having said this, I just want to reaffirm our commitment to the EALS and its missions and goals. And I also call upon all the Ethiopian lawyers who are following on this webinar as well. We have already mentioned some of the benefit packets that the East African Law Society will offer for the Ethiopian lawyers individually. Among those, you are going to join the largest network of lawyers in the region. And there's also access to international business markets and partnership as well. There's a quality publication and such kind of webinars which are handled, in a good way that can help you develop your professional capacity. Access to internationally just certified professional development courses is the other offer that the EALS is offering to you. Access to regional and international job and study opportunities, that was mentioned by Rama earlier. Promotion, leadership, subcommittee. All these are the package that come with membership with the East African Law Society, and we're now a proud member of this collection, and I hope a lot is coming in our future. I believe that the future is bright for us since we make a concerted effort from all sides. So that's what I want to say for now. Thank you all. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. I wanted to cut you short, but then I realized that you are selling East Africa Law Society, and I couldn't. I couldn't have the guts to do what I wanted to really do. Yeah. Now, Mr. John Mary Mugisha, Senior Counsel and Founding Member, it's your time to give us parting shots, having seen and heard the current crop of leaders of East Africa Law Society. Then what is your take very quickly, Senior Counsel? Senior Counsel Mugisha. Mr. Mugisha, please.
No, we lost him, I guess. He's not here.
Okay, okay. If we have lost him, I will move on. Mr. President, Ramadhan Abubakar Mukira, any of the parting shots?
Yes, there are a few questions I'd want to dive in on. And in terms of the actualization of cross-border practice, I'm seeing that is a question that has been lingering from some of the membership in attendance today. And I want to say that as of this moment, there exists a roadmap on how we can actualize this. And indeed, challenges are there. We acknowledge that. But in terms of what we are planning to do, we want to have a meeting with the Secretary General to the EAC so that we can actualize the mutual recognition agreement that has been there for years now. You understand that the mutual recognition agreement for the accountants or engineers has been passed, and we are allowed to practice across the borders. We do want to push for the mutual recognition agreement through the Secretary General of EAC. Also, the amendment of the laws, and also the passing of the cross-border practice bill that also has been pending before the East Africa Legislative Assembly. So there are plans. There's a committee that we set up immediately that I was sworn in that will indeed have the mandate of making sure or try to actualize this dream that has existed for 30 years now. So the dream is still alive to make sure that the cross-border practice is actualized. We also do have the suit that is pending before the EACJ filed in December 2024. We also want the East Africa Court of Justice to have a voice on this protocol and this particular dream. In terms of President Arop, the issue of the sub-registry of the EACJ, I will take this up and raise the issue with the East Africa Court of Justice. And in terms of the language barrier, East Africa Law Society continues, especially for the physical trainings that we have. We have translation mechanisms where we do have French translation to accommodate our French speakers. With that, members, I would do wish to thank you, especially the panelists, for making this possible. The president of the respective bars, I say Asante. President Moise, please, Murakoze, thank you for hosting me, and thank you for participating in this. President Toedros, thank you very much, and pass my regards to the Ethiopian bar. President Arop, Asante Sana. I'm here with the Deputy CJ, and I'll send my regards, and also do send regards to the South Sudanese bar.
I will.
And Mr. Mugisha, Senior Rubea, thank you very much for participating in this conversation. As ELS, we do thank you for planting the seed and continue to support East Africa Law Society. And Mr. SG, thank you for being a moderator. You've done a splendid job. Thank you. And should I say congratulations again on being elected SG of East Africa Law Society? To the membership, thank you for attending this webinar. Continue supporting EALS because EALS is tailored for you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, for that wonderful closing remarks. And I noticed that in the chat box, I see only good things. The question of cross-border legal practice appears to be a thorny question which we must address and talk about it more often. All lawyers across the region must not wait for ELS. We saw Martha Karua attempting to cross and then the barriers. We've heard from Ethiopia, we've heard from South Sudan, indeed even from Tanzania. I can assure you that the law is not as strict as that. If you have 5 years of practice, you can come and practice in Tanzania, and we have so many Kenyans and Ugandans practicing here. So while we are doing the researches to accommodate each and everyone, let's use the existing laws and loopholes to ensure that we penetrate the markets while working hand in hand with the existing lawyers in the countries of your interest. Having said that, I will leave to the Secretariat if they have any housekeeping issues. I don't know whether they are usually housekeeping issues, but on my part, thank you very much for letting me and giving me the opportunity to moderate this session. I had very active participants and very active and enriching panel. I thank you all for being patient until this time. You spared moments from your busy practices so that you can share what you have with our hungry participants. Now, I would, Gabriel, anything you want to say before you close? Gabriel or David?
Thank you, SG. I'm not sure Gabriel is still on. Just to say thank you to the panelists, starting with you. And to appreciate the members that are still on. I can still see a number of them on. And as housekeeping, we are going to have this link shared with everyone who participated in this event or in this session. It's going to be sent to you as a report of the webinar. We're also going to upload this on our YouTube channel. There's a lot of learning that you can do on that channel. There's a lot of free content there. So feel free to visit and learn. It's all free. And if need be, subscribe, then you'll get regular updates so that you are up to date with the courses that the Institute offers. As at this point, all courses are free except the physical events that we are having. We're going to communicate for those that are on this platform about upcoming events to your emails. At least by registering, we have your emails, and you're going to be joined in our mailing list for regular updates and for you to be able to, continue getting the opportunities that have been discussed today. Otherwise, thank you very much. SG, you can close the session, or you can call the president to close it for us.
Yeah, Mr. President, if you are there, you have the honor.
I thought I'd made my parting shot, but anyway. Honorable members, President.
Excuse me, President. The founding member is already now. He can be given
back.
also a chance. Yes, back.
Yes. Mr. John Mary Mugisha, Senior Counsel, we had called you to make your closing remarks. But now that you're back, please, briefly, make your closing remarks, Senior. Unmute, Senior. We can see you, but cannot hear you. Senior Mugisha, kindly unmute and make your closing remarks.
Hello, do you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Yes.
Proceed.
Oh, gentlemen, I'm sorry there was a technical glitch. Yeah, but it gives me pleasure that first of all, we have proved the naysayers wrong. The very fact that we're in existence after 30 years is evidence enough that we are viable. The enthusiasm that we have created, the values that we have stood for, the increase in the membership, and all that we have been able to do proves that we are worth our conceiving the idea has now come into fruition. However, we should not be complacent, especially the areas concerning cross-border legal practice. There are several matters which are contained in mutual recognition agreements. I think it is a high time that the member partner states embraced the mutual recognition agreements. And if it is, I think it is called variable geometry, where the willing people come and embrace the idea. All of us we should coalesce around Rwanda and Kenya and embrace cross-border legal practice. Otherwise, it gives me pleasure once again to thank my co-panelists for all the wisdom they have shared. And I'm very optimistic that posterity will not blame us, because all of us are wishing the East Africa Law Society the best. So I thank you very much for listening to me. I thank you for the opportunity. Asanteni sana.
Oh, thank you very much, Senior Counsel Mugisha, for your kind words and allowing us to drink from the fountain of knowledge, and also for coming up and allowing the dream of East Africa Lawyer Society to be planted across the region. Thank you very much to all the panelists, to the attendees for joining in this very important discussion on the importance of ELS. ELS can only thrive if all of us participate in its activity. We have shared the contact details of ELS. Please feel free to contact us when there's an issue that you want ELS to be involved in, or any ideas that you may have for the betterment of the society across the region. ELS shall continue to serve the members to ensure that the dream that was planted 30 years ago continues to grow for the betterment of the future generations that will exist. Thank you very much, honorable members, and I do wish you a good evening. Asante Murakoze.
Thank you. See you some other time, members and participants.
Thank you.
Thank you.